Hello and welcome to Local Lives. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mihalis. We're your hosts and we welcome you to today's episode of Local Lives as we celebrate the 125 years of Clarion.
Today we have two very special guests, Kate and Gavin. Gavin is a community manager working to support our residents, and Kate is a resident from Leeds who is very active in her community. So thank you both for being here. Join us today.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So we'll be hearing a lot about all the wonderful projects you're working on and the impact they had on local communities. But before we do that, let's start with some quick fire questions. So are you a cat person or a dog person?
A dog person.
Oh, straight in with the hard questions though, isn't it? I'll go dog as well.
And what about karaoke?
I kind of want to do it now with the big mic. Love karaoke, any opportunity. Yeah.
I shouldn't be allowed anywhere near karaoke. The last time I did that, it was, you meant to keep it quite light. I went and did Radiohead's Creep and it was absolutely horrible. So no, keep me away from karaoke.
Memorable.
Brilliant. Well, welcome both. It's lovely to have you here. So can you both introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about what you do and also how your paths crossed?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kate Wormold-Smith. I'm a resident of Clarion up in Leeds, and I work for the LS14 Trust, which is a small charity up there. From that, I began doing some community work around play and getting a Playbox, and that's how we first met, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of evolved from there, slowly taking over the estate and getting more involved with the residents' lives over there. Yeah, that's me.
And I'm Gavin Shermanton, so I'm the communities manager in the East and North in Clarion Futures. I've been in the role since about November, but before that I was a community officer, and that is where I met Kate, as Leeds was part of my patch. We had a community asset there that decided to rot away from the inside during COVID when it was locked down, so we had to find something to do there. I'd seen the great work that LS14 Trust had been doing with Playboxes. Our community assets manager, Claire, she also loved the idea of the Playbox and getting that structure in place. So we worked with LS14 Trust to get that onto the Keelenbeck estate, and it's been absolutely amazing. And Kate's been just a force of nature since getting her in there. It's changing so much, and it's absolutely amazing to see.
That's lovely to hear. So if we look back a little bit then, what was community like growing up for you two, and how has it changed over the years, do you think?
I'd like to think it hasn't changed that much compared to my children's lives in the community. We were out quite a lot. We were playing in the local area. We knew the old lady who lived 5 doors down and knew that if we took her bins out on a Saturday morning, she'd give us sweets on the Sunday. It's pretty much the same. It's a really nice old school community feel and really vibrant. Everyone has something to say, and there's just some massive characters, and it's been really great to see those characters kind of being 40 years old as the mums on the estate to now being some of those little old ladies who will still give me a sweet. You know, it's wonderful. It's really, really enjoyable.
It is. The Keelenbeck estate is absolutely amazing. It's a real treat to be part of that and see that kind of community. I think for myself, it sounds what Kate said there. When I was a kid, it was being out playing all day, just so many different types of games and mischief would get into. And I do feel with my role taking me across the country that not every estate is the same now, and then children don't have that same opportunity to get out and play. I think probably, you know, growing up on the estate I grew up in, I was part of that. It was me and my friends that ended up having the no ball signs put up. So I apologise for that, for the kids now. But trying to work with communities to empower them and get to the point where we can be like Keelenbeck and we can really get, you know, that sense of community back, where kids can go out and play and know everybody on the estate. And you know, you do get those characters giving out the sweets, and it's sweet. That's the ambition that we have within communities.
So how important do you think communities are nowadays?
I think they're vital, absolutely important, yeah. we saw that during the lockdown, that when people couldn't go out and be part of that community, you had this real issue around isolation, and we saw an impact in people's mental health. I think it's so important that we are there for each other, and that is what community is. It's being there for each other. It's about creating a safe space for everybody to thrive in and be part of. And I think if we have a thriving community, then it's just a much happier, nicer place to live, where everybody can be part of that. So for me, it's the most important thing.
What about you, Kate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gavin hit the nail on the head. Most of the residents around Killinbeck, their parents, and there's a great saying that it does take a village to raise a child, and that really is what it feels like. Going back to COVID, like Gavin said, when it shut down, we really missed that, and we lost out so much on, having that quick natter, can I nick your loaf of bread because I've run out? That support system, it just fell away, and it still feels like we're trying to make up for that time. Mm-hmm. But it's a fantastic source of support, and I feel in a world like this, you need a community. Mm-hmm. You need that support around you on your doorstep.
Yeah. So what made you both then want to work in local communities? What was your inspiration?
Well, I know mine. Mine was my first job out of university. I worked in a bank selling debt, and I hated it. And I made a decision that I need some good karma in my life. So from that moment, I went and worked with adults with learning disability. I then went into working with ex-offenders in mental health for a bit. I managed a domestic abuse program and worked in domestic abuse. And then from there became a communities officer and stepped up into the community manager role. So my path was led by knowing what I didn't want to do and making sure that when I go to work, it's something that I really enjoy doing. So that's where my passion for it came from.
I was quite a young mum, so I had a housing officer, a wonderful guy called Jess, and I remember being quite lonely, those early days of motherhood, you're stuck in with a newborn, and I says to him, I just need to meet some of the other mums around here in this situation. And he was like, well, that's fine, we'll get you a little group together, you can start running it. And I just kind of tumbled into it. But the further down I went, I realised it's not work. You can't have this much fun and this much of a fulfilment from work. It really is passion, and it's just wonderful.
Well, it's like they say that choose something that you love doing, and it's like you never have to work.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll have lots of opportunities, lots of memories of good work you've done with communities. Are there any particular powerful moments that made you think, this is why I do what I do?
Well, for me, it's got to be the day that our Playbox opened. The children knew it were coming it took about 9 months to get it there on site, and we'd been doing Playbox with a pull-along cart and very little resources. So for them to come home from school and you'd see this little horde of children running round and their faces lighting up when they saw this bright blue storage container that was empty, it had nothing in it, but the joy on their faces are, oh wow, we've done it. And it really was that, we've done it, we've got this box, it's here, it's ours. One of the proudest days of my life.
Yeah, I was thinking about Playbox opening as well. When I started working in Leeds, we had an organisation, an amazing organisation called Youth Association, working from the Killinbeck estate, but they were coming in now and again to support young people because we would get complaints about antisocial behaviour, and it seemed that we were just being quite reactive to a complaint that would come in, and occasionally bring Youth Association in, and they would be shocked that it's going on because they're used to working in areas where there is antisocial behaviour. It transpired that actually it's just young people being young people. They were just out playing, occasionally leaving wrappers on the floor, that kind of stuff. So in order to get that right support in place for them, to make sure that we were engaging the community, it was getting something like Playbox. And when we actually spoke to Naomi, Kate's manager, and I went and saw a Playbox in operation in Rain Park up in Leeds. It was absolutely brilliant. I thought, yes, we've got to get this there. And when we were able to bring it in and it opened and all those young people were playing, and I'd speak to Kate and say, how's it going? Any issues of antisocial behaviour? And your response would be, there'd be some odd ones like, no, it's fine. They've burnt the little library we tried to put up, but we've just replaced it. And actually we found out who did it, and now they're in charge of looking after it. And so it's that model of moving away from seeing play and, you know, sometimes mischievous play as antisocial behaviour, and seeing it for what it is, young people wanting to get involved. And when you've got something popping up like Playbox and Kate, who's making so much difference and improving the community and taking on additional spaces as well, like the Orchard, it's absolutely amazing. It's what the job's about. Just to see that is beautiful.
Yeah. So I suppose maybe this is a question for you, Gavin, but Kate, please feel free to chime in. In terms of any big lessons that you've learned from residents, what would you say those key lessons would have been?
The key lessons I would say about getting a good established project running would be that it's got to be something that the community will buy into. So I think very often we fall into the trap of parachuting something in because it's the big shiny new thing. If you don't have that local buy into it, if you don't have a Kate running it, if you don't have that person who is advocating on behalf of the community, you're not going to get those roots that you need for something like that to thrive. And I think that's the great thing about what LS14 Trust and Kate do, is they've now got those roots within the Killenbeck community, and you're starting to see that fruit now from the growing tree. It's absolutely amazing what they are doing. So my biggest lesson is definitely get an organisation that could be an anchor organisation there and not just parachuting.
So in terms of community then, if you had to explain what the word community means to you, how would you explain it?
That's a really good one. Yeah, that's a brain puzzler, isn't it? I would think, a group of people, I wouldn't even say necessarily living close by, because you can have a community in any aspect. But I do think a shared bond, shared experiences, the opportunity to lend a hand and the support. I think that's what a community is.
And what would be your hopes and aspirations then for the future?
Well, I would like to see more Playboxes all over the place. I would like to get to meet some more Clarion residents from across the UK. I'd like to join in with some of their projects and kind of do one big collaborative event across the whole, across the whole UK. It really would.
Yeah.
Clarion Fest.
That's what we need to do.
You heard it here first. Yeah, get to know someone and kind of just grow that community. It doesn't have to just be little pocket communities all over the place. We can be one big one.
Wonderful. Well, Kate and Gavin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Of course. And that's it for another episode of Local Lives. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.